Blessings, everyone, and welcome to our daily Mindcast, where we are being fruitful and multiplying in our grace space. Today, we have a special reflection, devotion, and our daily strategy and approach as we dive deeper into the Word of God and share a time and a moment to reflect on God, what are you saying to us in this moment, in this season? What should we be devoting ourselves to in our current situation so that when we approach those situations, we are within your will with a strategy defined and designed divinely by you. So today we have our reflection in our grace space. Today we're being freed from anger. Let's say that again. just saying it is freeing. Freed from anger. So how do we reflect on anger? And I share this with different individuals when it comes to anger, based off of my experience and knowledge of anger in the word. When I think about the universal language of love, love is not easily angered. So therefore, if I'm easily angered, I'm not operating in love. So it's like, being freed from anger is love. Love is freeing. So Proverbs 14:29 says, people with understanding control their anger. A hot temper shows great foolishness. So when you're operating in a hot temper, you are displaying foolishness. But at the same time, if you control your anger, you're able to, you're saying, okay, I have understanding. This is not how I should be in this moment. So our reflecting, for reflection today is going to be reflecting on those situations where we may have got hot tempered. We all have our way, we all have snapped, okay? But we must be wise in our anger. So to be wise in our anger, we have to get the understanding. That's why he said people with understanding control their anger. And that's why I said it's a universal language of love. We need to bring more understanding to love and saying, the universal language is not English or, things in that sort, but bring clarity into love is a language, the love language. When you think about, what is love? Love is not easily angered. It doesn't keep records of wrong. It does not boast. It does not envy. That is a language. How are you, speaking? Are you speaking in love? Are you being easily angered? But we've all snapped at some point where we all had our foolish ways, because we have to trust in the Lord with all our heart. So we have to give our heart to the Lord first, so we can operate in understanding, in His understanding, and not lean to our own. So we must be wise in our anger, because it may destroy the protections God has built into our lives. So when we act foolish, out of hot temper, we get out of the will of God. So it's like staying in the protection of God is okay. I may not understand. Being able to release the feeling of trying to understand everything. We don't have to. It's okay to not understand, because God will provide clarity in His own time and say, okay, you need to grow in this area. I'm thankful that I was able to grow in this area of understanding as far as anger. Like, I didn't realize how much anger that I had until I realized that it was dictating how I was showing up. And it was an indicator that, there was some foolish ways. Like, okay, you're getting hot, there you have some foolish ways. You're not acting wise. So of course, going into Proverbs, you get that wisdom and understanding. For God gives wisdom, and from His mouth comes knowledge and understanding. So if God gives you the wisdom, He's given us Proverbs to be able to get an understanding, and also to get the knowledge needed to say, a hot temper shows great foolishness. So If you're hot tempered, it's wise to know that, that's kind of where you're operating in foolishness. So you get the choice to choose. Let me be wise. Let me understand. Let me understand that I need to act wisely in this situation, and control my anger. So realizing also that anger is a response, and it's usually a response to fear, humiliation, or anything that can come in a situation where it could easily take your focus off of that self-control. So we need to get to the root of those events as quick as possible. And it allows us to deal with the anger, to disarm it. Oh, this is causing me to respond foolishly. Let me respond wisely. Lord, I may not understand, but I'm giving it over to you. And so you move forward, not stop. So, and it's not cruel. Jesus isn't cruel. He doesn't want you to be mishandled. So that's why I said the protection. He will reward you as you submit to him responsively in times of both peace and injustice. So even when you feel like you're being mistreated, or you want to retaliate, don't. Reconcile, seek reconciliation. How can we reconcile this situation? Because wrath, that's wrath. It turns in all that turns into wrath. And that is one of those things, like you don't want to let that build up and turn it. Just like you give the devil a foothold, it turns into a stronghold. Yeah, you don't want to fall into that stronghold of anger. So, and then you start to retaliate, and then you start trying to get back at someone. It's just like, all that is just not necessary. We thwart the devil by casting wrath, anger, vengefulness, and bitterness from our hearts. Like, okay, God, that angered me. Let me give it over to you. That's why he said, cast all your cares, all your worries, all your silent moans, your groans, enter his gates with thanksgiving, giving him praise. Like, Lord, I need you right now. Because I'm casting it over to you before I cast off the wrath or retaliation or vengefulness or bitterness. Before I cast that into my heart, I'm going to cast it over to God. So we can choose kindness, tenderheartedness, and forgiveness. And help as I give it over to you. You receiving forgiveness, like that's that it's freeing to receive forgiveness instead of retaliating. So the reconciliation comes through forgiveness. So let's reflect on, where have you allowed anger to grip you? Like I said, we've all snapped. I've snapped. I've been in a battle with anger for a while now. Because I really didn't understand it. Like, it wasn't until I got that understanding and asked God, like, help me to understand this emotion of anger, because I do not like it. I do not like to be angry. So God, help me to understand, because I'm suppressing it. Help me to be free from it. And he did. He brought me, you don't need to understand. It's okay to not understand, Continue to cast it all on me. Forgive, seek forgiveness. And so, can you let God bring peace instead? Yes. That's why he said he gives you that peace that surpasses all understanding. So it's like, oh, I got peace, but you still have to be a doer of the word, like, okay, I got peace, but you still have to forgive. You still have to reconcile. You still have to work on that it's a discipline. You still have to work on that discipline. So that is our reflecting on how we can be freed from anger and how we can continue to just receive peace. Like hello peace. But hello forgiveness, hello reconciliation, and the ability to move forward. So as we reflect on that, we can also devote ourselves to saying, I'm bigger than my Goliath. If anger is a Goliath, it's something big in your life, you can say, I'm bigger than that. And we're going to read the word of 1 Samuel 17:4. And there went out a champion out of the camp of the Philistines named Goliath of Gath, whose height was 6 cubits and a span. Bigger is better. Now, that's what they say. Now, not necessarily. What do we gain by gaining the world and losing our soul? Now, the world seems bigger than our soul. But what is it? Just because it's bigger doesn't mean that it's better. So I would choose my soul. I would save my soul before I try to save the world. Now, save my soul and changing the world is different. So we allow our problems, our Goliaths, to make us lose focus of all that God has done for us and is doing for us and will do for us. So we can't let how big the world is make our souls seem so small. No, let's not lose focus on our souls, like our mind, our will, our emotions, our affections, and the things that we are imagining. Imagine the knowledge we have to remember, and that's one of the reasons. That's why we do the daily mindcast, is to help us to remember how important soul care is. Like, to reflect on our soul. Like, take the time to say, okay, my mind matters. My will should be in alignment with God's will. I want to cast out the imagination and anything that exalts itself against the knowledge of God. So just being able to remember is key. Like we said, we're free from anger, so remembering is key. Remembering that love is not easily angered. No matter how small or big life's problems may seem, always remember that God is bigger than them all. God is bigger than the world. God is bigger than all the anger. So you're cast it all on Him. God is a big God, where He's like, okay, God, I got another one. I got another one. I got another one. I got this. I got this. Cast it all on God, because He cares. He truly cares, and He knows. He knows. He's just like, okay, will you give it over to me? Will you cast this over to me? And I'm like, yes. That my answer will be yes. So the strategy and approach is to remember that you are freed from anger, and that you can choose to live wise and not be hot-tempered. And being hot-tempered is just basically going to cause you to retaliate, and which is foolishness. But then also to reconcile, first by casting it on to God, and saying, okay, God, this is indicating that this is the next step is reconciliation. Help me to reconcile this. Help me to forgive. Help me to be tenderhearted. Help me to be kind. To be very fruitful in this season of being angered. So you're giving it over to Him. Reflect on that. Devote yourself to that, and understand that is the strategy and approach that has been given to us in wisdom, in truth, and in love by our God. So thank you guys for joining the Grace Space, and go out, be fruitful, multiply, and multiply the word of God. Have a blessed day.